And welcome once again to Living in the 21st Century. Joining me today is John Kelly from Second Thoughts. He is the director of that organization. And also is Anita Cameron from the organization Not Dead Yet. John, Anita, it's a pleasure to have you on today.
Thank you, Errol.
Great to be here.
Great. Today I want to touch a little bit about discrimination in the workplace towards disabilities, those who are disabled. And I want to look at the overall view of the world in which we live in today. It seems to me that the system had become so divisive is that humanity itself is now a subject to the same system they created for them own selves. And with that said, I found that people in the workplace are treated nothing more but a tool. When it becomes broken, it is get rid of and replaced by some other tool. I know of someone presently who would have fallen and broken their legs, messed their legs up, had more than 2 surgeries on their legs, and can't even get their simple vacation pay from their workplace. The hours that they had in, they don't even have access to those hours from their workplace. They are dissed on many times when they are reached out to. And these things are going on. And I know that you all would have experienced some form of discrimination in the workplace. Could Anita, you tell me about some of your stories when it comes to discrimination with disability or any form that you would have encountered?
Well, interestingly enough, so most of my jobs have been in the disability world. And that itself is a form of discrimination because I have a master's in biology and I have an associate's degree in computer information systems. I can't get a job in either of my fields because of my disabilities. And so the only jobs that most of the jobs that I got were in the disability world, working for disability organizations or independent living centers, which are non-residential places where disabled people go to get like advocacy, get peer counseling, benefits counseling, independent living skills training, things of that nature. And so that itself is, as a matter of fact, when I finished with my degree in computer information systems, so back then, I mean, I could build a computer from the ground up. You put a shell in front of me, give me a motherboard and all that. I could physically build a computer. But people would come in, I would go into these companies and I would be in my wheelchair, and then they would see that I had to look close because I'm almost totally blind. And they would literally laugh me out of the office. Like, how can you do this? Like, how can a blind person be an IT specialist? When they didn't know I could build a computer from the ground up in less than an hour. And so, that was one form, right there, that when you're disabled and educated, often, unless you're a lawyer or a social worker or something like that, it is extremely difficult for a disabled person to get a job in their field. Even though like some of the stuff like absenteeism, disabled people have the less amount of absenteeism on the job, but people see disabled folks as a liability, or if you need accommodations, they, wrongfully think that they're going to cost, hundreds of dollars and thousands of dollars, and so they don't even want to deal.
Yeah. Okay.
And so that's that's working in the real world, if you will, but we get it in the disability world too. I saw where someone at the Center for Independent Living that I work for, a person who was blind, she needed accommodations for her computer software so that she could read what was on her screen. Now, back then, I mean, typically that kind of software, it's pretty pricey, but she needed it, and we're a disability organization, who fights for, against these types of things, discrimination in the workplace. Yet this woman wound up getting fired because they just didn't want to, give her, the accommodations that she needed. So discrimination, it happens even in the disability world. It happens if it's not other, cross, lateral ableism, then it's some racism, or homophobia going on.
Okay.
So that's my story.
Okay. John, I want to ask a question. Do you think the American with Disability Act is really doing what it's supposed to do when it comes to the kind of heartless people that you will find in our communities, our workplace, or our nation? Do you think these bills really make any difference to how people are being treated today?
They do. They're not a cure-all, but the ADA has really made a difference, even if many people don't understand it, especially. The compromise that was worked out regarding enforcement is that enforcement would have to come by individual plaintiffs going to federal court or getting the federal government to investigate something itself. So the approach was a soft one. And so we've made good progress, but it takes people willing to complain. And so, for example, under the ADA, there's a lawsuit just launched in Massachusetts that would enable disabled people to live in the community rather than being stuck in institutional or group home situations. And the ADA and the Olmstead Act, the Olmstead decision by the Supreme Court guaranteed, or you could say the most accessible or the most integrated environment. And so, that's how the ADA helped us get sidewalks made accessible. And, there have been some lawsuits against big companies, fast food companies, and that's made some difference. But as your question hints, there's so much more to do.
Okay. Do you think for people with disabilities, when they go to get a job for the first time, maybe the first time in their lives, the employer already know what the situation is like? Then, within a week, before actually allowing them to go through a probationary period, you fire that person and tell them, well, you can sue us if you want. We win most cases anyway. When employers mention things like that, and I know for a fact that there are a lot of companies boldly telling people, able or disabled, well, we win most of our cases, if not all of our cases, so you can sue us all our life. Do you think that companies today have integrity? The human resource department really cares about humanity? Those people who come and labor and work in the workplaces every single day, what word or awakening word would you want to say to companies today to treat people as equals?
Anita, that situation you described is one of the pitfalls of the ADA. I was one of those folks who protested, got arrested doing nonviolent civil disobedience, fighting for the ADA. And that's the pitfall, because the Americans with Disabilities Act, unfortunately, is what's known as an unfunded mandate. So unfunded mandates means there's no money behind these laws, and there are no teeth behind these laws. And so that's why, those of us with disabilities wind up having to be the watchdogs, and have to be the one to push. It shouldn't be like that. But it is. And unfortunately, in this day and age, companies, especially the huge multi-billion dollar year companies, they make it plain that they don't care about you. If you drop dead at 10 o'clock a.m. by 10:15, they will have your replacement. And, I'm from that generation that, we work hard. We usually, be on jobs for years and decades and whatnot. And it's just not like that, because as these rich employers make more money, they want to cut corners so that they can have more profit. And so that means that they wind up treating their employees really bad, not giving a living wage, because I'm sorry, $15 an hour in this day and age is not a living wage. And so, I mean, my wife and I both have jobs. We both make, like $20 an hour, upwards of $20 an hour, and we still can't make ends meet. And so you have these employees out, there who are trying to save a buck, mistreating their employees, not paying them right, not getting them benefits and whatnot, and then getting upset when people don't want to work under those conditions. And so you see why people are what they call quiet quitting. I don't even understand that term, but it's where you do only what you're supposed to do on your job. You do only what your job description details, and I can see that because these employees take advantage of us. We work hard. We have a good work ethic. We work hard. We put those hours in, and they don't care. One of the reasons COVID passed around so hard was people was coming in to work sick, because your job compels you to come in to work sick. That's just all. As we the situations, how people work, the workplace conditions that people are enduring is just, it's not good. I mean, the companies and businesses have made it totally apparent, totally obvious that they really don't care about us. They don't care about their workers. And I don't know, I think, back in the day, there were laws put into place and all of that to protect workers and to protect youth and all of that. But these days, we don't have that. And so It's just wide open for us to get mistreated. And then when you're disabled or otherwise marginalized, then you tend to get it worse. It's not always that. In my jobs, most of my jobs in the real world, I was treated really well. All of my accommodations they did, without me even asking, and went above and beyond. But that was back in the 90s. Yes. And that was one company, Anderson Windows, or Avis car rentals back in 2006, and a couple of others. But these days, I don't know. I mean, looking at it from non-disabled, workers, and then, you add in disability or race or other marginalized, and companies just, it's all about the bottom dollar, the bottom line.
One of the things I would like to look at also is it that mankind structured the system in such a way that they think that they're going to be able-bodied throughout their entire life. And it's easily to be able-bodied today and tomorrow become disabled. I mean, even this year for me, practically speaking, I had an experience, I told John about it, where I went in hospital and become hospitalized for a specific reason. And it was temporarily, I could say it was like temporarily disabled, but that is something that could have been permanently disabled. And people believe that they can be living a strong, healthy life till they depart from this earth, not knowing that you could get in an automobile accident tomorrow and become permanently disabled, or you can walk on a piece of snow, fall down and break your neck, or anything can happen to cause you to be disabled. And when there's a system structured in place that treat you as less as a person because you are not functionable like them, isn't like humanity trying to disably commit suicide? I don't know how to put it, John. What do you think?
Well, what we call this is ableism, and it's the belief and the actions and policies of the able-bodied ethos that runs our country, that being this, yes, I mean, just like you say, we are assumed to be able-bodied forever. So, with ableism, you can define it just as it's the belief by non-disabled and some disabled, our lives are automatically inferior to non-disabled people's lives.
So, Anita, what are some of the barriers in terms of discrimination you found, not only against disabled people, but minorities as a whole? And in this case and in this time, especially women, because I found out that there's the form of discrimination is on the rise when it comes to women, especially in the workplace.
Well, I mean, being a Black disabled woman, there is, it's, I feel like I'm a walking billboard of discrimination, because when things happen to me, I have to try to figure out, and sometimes it's pretty easy to figure out, okay, they said and did this to me because I'm a woman, because they don't feel that women are, good, effective workers, or we know that they did this, because I'm Black, because the workplace isn't even diverse. So, it becomes pretty clear,
Yes.
Or the disability, or in my case, sometimes it's for all three, because, we women, supposedly we aren't smart, we're dizzy, and so people have, that attitude and treat us like that. Unfortunately, particularly men kind of look down on us, and feel like they have to treat us um, as if we aren't smart, or as we, as if we need more explanation or whatnot, and then the racial stuff, which is that was like really the first discriminations I saw in my life, obviously, was for being Black. And being left out of things or having barriers placed before me, because I'm Black. Occasionally I get it because I'm a lesbian, but that's usually a situation where you have to know that information. And because I came up in an era that was particularly unsafe, and I've been bashed myself. It's just all kind of ways that employers can discriminate, against you. And sometimes you almost get the feeling as if they're weeding out people. They want, the people that look like them, think like them, act like them, have values like them. And if you're in the least little bit different, whether that's you're disabled, whether you're a person of color or Black, whether you're an immigrant, whether you, are a religious minority or whatnot, people will, unfortunately, my thought is that as long as human beings exist, we will find reasons to hate and discriminate against each other.
Right.
Whether that's in the workplace, whether it's, life, people will find means. We human beings, unfortunately, will find reasons to differentiate ourselves from each other. Now, supposedly, in the year 2050, here in the United States, we won't have a racial majority anymore. That's the whole white replacement thing that, the people talk about and people are afraid of. So maybe then the whole racial thing might blend out, but we humans will find ways to discriminate against each other. And like I said, in the workplace, and sadly, in the workplace, where if you're the owner of a company, you're trying to make money, you're trying to make a profit, but you're doing things that creates barriers for people. How are you making money? But people I think employers are so obsessed with money these days, they don't care how they make it. And if you hurt employees to make your bag, oh well.
Yeah. Well, John and Anita, we come to the end of our 30 minutes already. But don't go. I wanna ask you a question, Anita, before we wrap up and go. So just in a few seconds, we'll be off, and just hang on there for a few more minutes. And for all those who have been tuning in or living in the 21st century, I want to say thank you. Have a nice day.